Sadhguru presents the inner dimension in a scientific manner.
What is the significance of doing Archana in the temple, by giving one's name, Kshatra, your Gotram, all those stuff?
These things were very significantly relevant when deities were created in a certain way. When I say deities were created in a certain way, so all this has become one big hodgepodge. It become one big hodgepodge because the culture was created understanding the phenomenal complexity of life. But the instruments and the institutions which were to transmit this from generation to generation got seriously disturbed in the last 1800 years because of invasions and things like that. Otherwise, this is a very sophisticated science. Not everybody went to every temple at one time. There were some temples which were for general well-being where everybody went. But for specific purposes, people went only to their Kula Daivam. Even today, remnants of that are there, people are going, but the Daivam may not be created anymore, understanding the science. So why the Kula Daivam is, today, even if somebody died 100 years ago, they can dig up something and if they found one tiny little bone, they can take it, go to the laboratory, check the DNA, check your DNA and say, this was your grandfather. Yes or no? Even if somebody died 10,000 years ago, if they find a remnant of something, today you can take the mummies in Egypt, which are over 4,000 years old, you can take the DNA of this mummy and trace it down to somebody in Egypt who is right now protesting on the street, that this was Tutankhamun's progeny. Possible, yes? The science gives you this access. So similarly, we identified, you must understand this is relevant only when everything else was maintained. You know, there's a whole lot of struggle going on in Haryana about the Kap Panchayats saying that these cousin brothers and cousin sisters should not marry, this is sacrilege. See, I do not know whether they're aware of why they're protesting. But if they're truly aware, you have to respect it. They may be just protesting because you're breaking the norm. But essentially why this was done is, they maintained the genetic track way back. For thousands of years, they maintained the genetic track in their own way. Never mixing it up, never doing anything which will disturb the track so that the progeny comes out well. And not only that, you can create a certain energy which travels through the track. Everybody in your kula need not go to the temple. You go and pray, everybody benefits because all of us is connected. Right now, this will happen. The future of medical science is this, that if they find some pure genetic material, when we say a pure line of genetics, they can do it like this, that they can find something that works for your DNA, just spray it in the air. All the people who have that type of DNA will benefit instantly. Right now they're saying Asians have this kind of DNA and they are more prone to diabetes. Americans have this kind of DNA, they are prone to something else. Aren't they saying this? So if you just add one supplement into the Asian diet or into the American diet or into the European diet, you can change the way people live. This has happened. These things have happened in United States, that they have added certain this thing to as a part of their bread making and everything. Lot of ailments that they were suffering in 40s and 50s are gone in that country because people have that kind of DNA and they're being treated in a certain way unknowingly. The current generation do not even know about it, but it's a part of their bread making, they're taking in certain things and certain things are settled. For example, in 50s, United States has a huge number of cases of diabetes, which India is facing right now. So D3 as a vitamin, they found if you add D3 to those people's diet, their diabetes will go away. They added D3 to the bread making, there's hardly any diabetes in the United States. Now it's coming to us, but we eat D3, it will not work the same way for the Asian genetics, we need to find something else. We can tell you what you need to eat. So, they understood this and they maintained this genetic line so strictly and they established an energy source for this particular DNA, for this particular kind of genetic trend. And when they go there, they are not telling some god up there, they are just registering. This is me, I belong to this line, this is my gotra, this is my nakshatra, this is my kula. Means I am registering my DNA material, I am saying this is my DNA, do something to me. It is the most scientific way of handling it. Science gone bad, technology not transferred properly. Today it's all mixed up, so it will not work the same way. If they had maintained those genetic lines, you could make it work like that. But now you fall in love with the girl next door, she could be anything. Your choices have become more important than maintaining those kind of things. I mean, society has changed. So those things have become irrelevant. But when things were maintained like that, it was a very relevant thing. It is a wonderful understanding of life, a fabulous understanding of genetics and how it functions. Devotion means a tool to demolish yourself. A tool to destroy your intentions, your visions, your dreams, so that you become not a tiny little creature, so that you become a nameless little creature in this cosmos, but you become the very hand of the Divine. Devotion is not a deal that you make. Too much deal making is happening in the name of devotion. They are busy making deals. Deal makers and devotees are two different people. One belongs to the marketplace, another belongs to the divine. They're two different worlds altogether. You need to understand this. The moment you sit down to make a deal, it is the dharma of a deal that you should do your best to be smarter than the other. No? You don't want to make a dumb deal, do you want to? When you sit down to make a deal, you want to be smarter than the other. If you take this attitude with the divine, you have lost before you start. You sit with the existence like this, you sit with your guru like this, you lost even before you started. You don't have to run the race, you anyway lost. You cannot win. Because the very fundamental purpose has been defeated. And now what? So don't lose out on the tremendous power of devotion because you have a stupid deal in your head. What can you ask? What kind of deal can you make with the creation and the creator? Only a dumb deal, because you do not know what possibility the cosmos holds. You only know the little nonsense that you have experienced in your life. If you are in touch with an energy, at least you're in the presence of an energy which is the source of creation, and you ask, I want to get a job, I want to get married, how stupid can you get? You don't know what it holds. Isn't it best, do whatever you want with me? If you found contact, isn't it best to leave it to the source of creation, do whatever you want with me? No, get me a job, I want increment, I want promotion. Oh my God, don't do that to yourself. If at any time you find yourself in the presence of something which seems to be larger than you in some context, that's a time you don't try to make a deal, just shut up and be. Just see how you can receive. So that's devotion, that you understand becoming the hand of the divine is a far bigger possibility than making a deal, however big the deal seems to be in your head. Deals and deals always going on, everywhere. With life and death, deals are going on. From deals to devotion is a transformation. It is like if I give you filth, will you give me something fragrant and wonderful? No. If I give you filth, you will want to give me more filth. But please see how the creation functions. If you give this tree filth, it'll give you flowers, isn't it? This is the way of the divine. If you really become a devotee, you become the hand of the divine, and that's how it will be. Whatever is thrown at you is nourishing. Whatever comes your way is wonderful for you, because whatever comes, you know how to transform it into something beautiful. That's devotion. Deal means you want to get the flowers, you want to give the filth to somebody else. If you do that deal, after that, you will get excluded, isn't it? You will get excluded from any group of people, or ultimately you will get excluded from the way the creation is happening. When we say yoga, we are talking about a union. A union means that you don't exist here as a creature by yourself. You exist here as part of the divine. You exist here as part of the creation and the creator, that you become one with everything, that you are not one little crawly creature who goes around doing its own thing. But the whole idea The juvenile idea of freedom is you want to do your own thing, isn't it? So this you need to understand. A wrong idea, a wrong emotion can cause much more pain and much more destruction than a bullet or a bomb or poison for that matter. A wrong idea, a wrong attitude, a wrong emotion can cause much more damage than poison. So this is why asatoma sadgamaya, asatoma… Sadguru, already I said it. No, you must tell it every moment of your life. Every moment of your life, this is the journey, that you're moving from untruth to truth. Otherwise, what is not true can be made to look true in your mind. Once you make untruth into truth in your mind, then that untruth will poison the very way you exist. Then you wonder why suffering is coming in search of you. Well, it's bound to. How else will it? If it doesn't come, that means my life has failed. Suffering must come if you're doing the wrong things, isn't it? Someone very carefully went up the tree. Another fool tried to run up and fell down. If nothing happens to him, the one who has the skill to climb up is a fool, isn't it? Yes or no? No? It is so, isn't it? One who has paid attention, one who has taken care to acquire the necessary skill to do something in a proper way, if him and a fool who has not paid any attention to anything happens the same way, then the man who paid attention to all these things is a fool, isn't it? So, I'm not really against suffering. It's my wish that you should not suffer. But if you're stupid and you want to do idiotic things to yourself, you must suffer, because only if suffering comes, you will stop doing stupid things. Suppose… do you see, suppose you have a wound which is drying up, you want to… Pandringdane? Pandringdane? If it goes deep enough, when it hurts, you stop. Suppose it did not hurt, you would pull out your intestines. Yes? Do not underestimate yourself. If there was really no pain in your body, as you sit in the satsang, you know, like how you blow chewing gum, you blow your lungs out to show me how big a lungs you got. Yes, you would do. Do not underestimate yourself. Do not underestimate your own stupidity. If somebody is doing something else to make your impression, you'll take your intestines and… because if you as much as touch it with a pin, it hurts so badly. Wherever you do not know the pain, you do not know the pain of a tree, you do not know the pain of an animal, you do not know the pain of other things, all those things you're chopping, isn't it? Only this one you know, so you're preserving. So, it is fine, you're doing good. At least you know this much. It just has to expand, that's all. Now, because you know the pain of what this is, you're keeping this well. If you just begin to feel the pain of the mountain, you would keep the mountain well. If you understand the pain of the cosmos, you would keep everything well, isn't it? That is what yoga means, union, that everything has become a part of you. And devotion is that dimension which will obliterate the boundaries between what is you and what is not you very effortlessly. When you say, I'm turning spiritual, you must understand, yoga is the methodology. Essentially, your effort is to move away from the ways of the body and get aligned with the another dimension of nature within us. From the surface nature of physicality, we want to get aligned with a deeper nature of inner nature. One important aspect of your physicality is your genetics. So, life repeats itself. You think you're a fresh life, do not underestimate the dead. Your great-grandfather laughing at you, living through you. You know, someone said, leave the dead to the dead. You've forgotten? 2000 years ago, someone said, leave the dead to the dead. It's not that simple to put the dead to rest. Just because you boxed them and buried them, or you're an Indian person, you don't trust boxes and burial. You know they could find a way out, so you burned the hell out of them. Not only you burned them, you took their ashes and put it in 3 different rivers and also in the ocean, so that they should never again rise. Indians are taking a lot of care about these things because there is a whole science as to how to make sure the dead remain dead, they don't play up. They will play up. In so many ways, they're playing up. To put them to rest, the best way to put them to rest is, there is a distance between you and your body, they're finished. Only if you're identified with your body, they will play up in your life in 100 different ways. Many of you will notice this, when you're 18, 20, you thought, I'm never going to be like my mother or my father, I'm a revolution, you know. All the hippies, I'm asking you. But you're 45, suddenly you start talking like your mother or your father, you sit like that, you stand like that, you seem to amble around just like that. Slowly, they're taking charge of you from within. Everything that you resisted, you thought you were a big revolution just because you smoked pot. But 40, 50 years of age, slowly they start manifesting themselves, laughing at your revolution. Because putting the dead to the dead is not a simple thing. So can we do this? Definitely. The entire system of yoga, from the simplest process to the most sophisticated processes of yoga, essentially designed towards this, so that you become a totally fresh life. Nothing of the past should remain. We have great regard and respect for the past because they brought us this far, but we don't want them to carry them, don't want to